That's how we think now.
All right, good morning. My name is Kip Millon. I'm the group leader for Group 2. We're going to do our presentation for Intelligent Design and Evolution. You go to the next one. We basically looked at this as intelligent design against evolution is just one argument. The argument is not necessarily scientific, it's just the existence of God. If evolution is true, then God doesn't exist. Or if intelligent design is true, then God does exist and evolution has a problem. We basically went through the different arguments conflicting, if it's compatible, the existence of God and those that found it. We go back all the way back to the beginning of time and then give our explanation of it. Okay, the conflicts. Science conflicts with religion. Basically, if evolution is true, then is the Bible true? If everything written in the Bible is true, then evolution must be false. So that's a conflict that's going on. And it also challenges, is there really a God? Now, science supports religion. If creation is proven to be true, which we've already found out, if you remember from the beginning of time, in Genesis said there was nothing. And then on the first day, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Well, science calls that the Big Bang Theory. From a singular point, everything in the universe existed in one location. And from that one location, everything expanded in 1 second. Which is true, which we accept. And most religions do accept evolution as being true, with the exception of one thing, man. There is no proof that man actually evolved from an ape. Because there's no fossil records of it that you can make that link from the ape to man. Now, I'll bring up a saint. This is a Catholic saint. He's a priest. Back in the 1300s, no one could actually go to school and be educated unless they were rich or they were part of the clergy. Okay. Now, St. Thomas Aquinas spent his entire life reading and researching and following all the philosophers like Aristotle, Plato, and most of the Greek philosophers trying to figure the origin of life. And his charge in the church was to find out if there's the existence of God. Now, in 1274, he wrote proofs. It was called the Summa Theology. And one of his first things was to say the first cause. For instance, if I have a ball or even this eraser, I'm the cause for this eraser to move. The eraser can't move without me acting on it. But for me to act, someone caused me to act. So if you go back to the beginning of time, who started everything? It was God, and that was his third proof. Now, this is Aquinas' famous quote. Everything happens has a cause. It will follow everything back to the beginning. We come to the first cause that started everything off. This cause was God. If you go to the next one. Now, from the Bible, as we read Genesis 1 through 3. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the faces of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the faces of the water. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, and he said it was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness night. And there was evening, and then there was morning. And then that was the first day. Creationism. From the first day, from a single point, everything was created on that first day. So the Bible is true. Science proved that everything came from one point, which is a singularity. So, in fact, creationism is true. Now, this is where religion and science cross. This is Nicolaus Copernicus. He was a mathematician, astronomer. He studied the stars. The church put him in charge of actually fixing the calendars. They want to be able to look at the stars and tell what day, what month, what hour of the day it is every day of the week, but the calendars were wrong. From the beginning of time to this period, the church always taught that the earth was the center of the universe. Since God created earth, the entire universe revolved around the earth. Copernicus found out that that wasn't true. And he found that there were planets, and we orbited the sun. For 10 years, they would not accept his calendar, his information, because it proved that the Bible was wrong. But in truth, he basically brought light what was true in science. And it caused a big commotion, I mean, for hundreds of years. If you went against the church teachings, they actually would go out and kill you. You can look at the Spanish Inquisitions and anything of that nature. But it caused the same clash with science against religion. Go to the next one. And then we got the next clash. This is Charles Darwin. He published a book called The Origin of Species in 1859. He basically said that only the strongest will survive, and those that adapt continue to go on and reproduce and change, and that changes their evolution. And because of the natural order of things, life selects the strongest, and they survive. And we evolved basically from microorganisms in the ocean to small animals on land to eventually apes to eventually men. Never the case. Go to the next one. At no point in time has there ever been a link between the ape and man. Archaeological records go back hundreds of thousands of years, but there's no link where they can show the progression of an ape becoming a man with fossil records. Not one. Out of hundreds of thousands of excavations of remains, they've never found an ape-like man. Now, other animals, they have, but never man. So, to be consistent with intelligent design, that holds to be true. That only animal on earth that has not evolved was man, because man was created by God. Now, we stopped. That was the first one was 1543. The second one, 1859. The next clash came from the United States. Believe it or not, 1925, the state of Tennessee outlawed the teaching of evolution. Outlawed it. And they actually created laws, and one teacher challenged the law. If you go to the next one. He challenged the law that evolution was wrong, and he called it the monkey trials. The monkey trials consisted of probably one of the greatest lawyers of his time. His name is Clarence Darrow. All right, he's like the Johnny Cochran of the 1920s. And if you could imagine the vice president, who's a devout Christian, decided to stand up for the Tennessee state and went on trial to actually fight for evolution. But Clarence Darrow, being a good lawyer, kept finding inconsistencies in the Bible. Constantly gave inconsistencies to where the teacher actually won his case. And they threw out intelligent design. If you go to the next one. Now, the thing that I'm saying is intelligent design is actually the facts that we support. The science, as we gain more information. Now, I showed you a slide of Thomas Aquinas. He was a Catholic priest. But he was followed by another priest named Saint Anselm. He actually went in and started building more on his first cause. His first cause, he said that every time you gain knowledge, you become more enlightened and closer to God. The more knowledge you gain, the more you have knowledge of God. So things that we used to think were mysteries, getting sick, viruses, anything that you had no mysteries of, the stars, the moon. As you get more information, you see something that's not chaotic. It has order, and it has precision. And the precision is so great that only a perfect being can create it. So this was done in 2012. They call this a Large Hadron Collider. It was made to find something called the Higgs boson part. It's a particle. Believe it or not, in space there's nothing, but there is this particle that exists everywhere. And it affects every molecule in the entire galaxy. And they actually found it in 2012, and they call it the God particle. Because anything that has weight, density, mass, this particle acts on it, and it exists everywhere. God is an omnipotent being who's perfect, and he's everywhere, and knows everything. And he's perfect, and he creates perfect things. And every time we gain more knowledge, we become perfect. So we support intelligent design. It's just that evolution is just a small part of it. And that basically concludes our presentation. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Mr. Kip? Any questions for Mr. Kip? So,